Hi everyone, it's Flutter by Heidi here. I'm Heidi Smith. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the United Kingdom. And today I'm bringing you a bit of an asymmetric pop-up along using the fabulous Perched in a Tree. Now I used this paper when I was creating the sample because I just thought it was perfect, but obviously it is a retired paper. But you could use any paper that you've got. So I thought I'd remake this with my Storybook Knowns paper, because on the back of one of these papers, probably the one I haven't got, this one here, you've got this lovely sort of mountain snowy scene as well, and with the soft suede. So I thought, well, do you know what, I'm sure that'll work just as well. But what I would also say is, if you hadn't got some DSP, you could stamp that background, or you could perhaps emboss it if you'd got the evergreen embossing folder, or the old winter trees embossing folder that we had as well. So there are lots of different ways you could recreate this without using the specific DSP. But the fun of this card comes when you open it up, because when you open it up, you've got this fun pop-up. So that when it sits out, you've got a lovely little 3D element. So I thought it was a bit of fun. And in terms of colouring, this one I stamped, I coloured with blends. So my second sample I'm going to do with my watercolour pencils as well for you. So let's get started. First thing we're going to need to do is stamp and colour our robin. As I said, the one on the front you can see here, and this one are both die cut. So let's go ahead, and I've already got one stamped and die cut already, and hopefully I've got a second one here as well. I have. There we go. So to do this, when I'm doing multiples, you can just stamp them and then die cut them, or if you're doing a lot, you can die cut all the shapes first, then use your Stamparatus to line that up and stamp those images. But our one for the inside, we could actually stamp direct onto the panel that we're going to use. So this panel here is 7.5 by 6 centimetres. And so I'm going to actually just stamp in Memento, and this is a slightly larger stamp, so I'm going to use my ink pad to stamp technique, and I'm just going to simply stamp our robin just at the bottom of that section, like so. Then I thought I'd come in and I'll use some Night of Navy, she says, hopefully. Find my Night of Navy. And just kind of make a sort of snowflake effect. And because on this stamp you've got various points where it sticks out more, you can shape it quite easily around your image, like so. And I've got a second piece of card which is going to go on the inside as well. I'm just going to cover that actually, and then we can perhaps put a little bit of a branch across there as well. So now what we want to do is colour our images in. So I'm going to use our watercolour pencils, and I've got Pumpkin Pie and Real Red for the breast. I've got the Early Espresso for the feathers, and then I've got my basic grey for the sort of the chest. Then I've got a blender pen that I'm going to use. So I'm going to come around here first of all because obviously red breasts, it is red, but it's quite a sort of an orangey red. So I'm just going to put some orange down there first on both of those. Like so, there we go. Then I'm going to come in with my red down the centre there, and a little bit round the edges too. So So at this point, obviously, it doesn't look particularly inspiring. But when we use our blender pen, it's amazing how that suddenly changes. So again, I'm going to come in and just put an overall layer of colour on both of these. Just I'm getting a little bit darker at the bottom there. And where those feather stuff lines are as well, get a bit of dimension. So again, just a nice belly they've got. Gosh, I think they're puffed up at the moment, those little robins. Do you feed your birds? I have to admit I don't feed birds as much as I used to, because I have a cat, one in particular, who is rather fond of bird catching. Yeah, I do have a hedgehog that comes round occasionally, so I try and feed him. I figure that he stands a much better chance of escaping being terrorised by the cats. But yes, unfortunately, my little Skylar, she does rather like going after the birds. She's she's a very good mouser actually, so I try and encourage and reward mousing. You know, especially when we get them in the log pile. Don't want any there. There we go. So I've just sort of coloured that quite sort of roughly there. Just going to come in last bit with a bit of again, a bit of grey up and around the eye. So once you've coloured those in, and along my branch, I might just add a little brown in there as well. You can then just, use that blender pen, and you'll see it's just moving that ink around. So again, I'm going to do my grey first. Where I've coloured those, and then come up into the brown. And obviously, because they've got sort of different colours, it doesn't matter with the grey going in. You've got the grey going into that brown, the brown going into the grey. The only bit I'm going to do separately is the chest. There we go. So again, while I've got that out, let's see what we can get. A little red breast there, and then come back in to do the. Now obviously, if you haven't got the watercolour pencils, then you could use a blender pen without inks, and that works really well to colour with. Or obviously you may have Stampin' Blends instead. So I mean, you can use, it's whatever you prefer to colour with. I tend to use, I don't sort of have a real strong preference, I suppose. I go in phases. Sometimes, I just change my mind. So there we have our inner panel, one for the front and our branch for the front as well. And we've got our second panel, so I might even pop a little twig on that as well actually. Just blend that out as well. Add our little branch across there. So just use a bit of adhesive. To pop that across. Then we can trim that once it's dried. Okay. So now what we want to do is create our card base. So the actual card base itself is very straightforward. So you need a piece of card that is 29 by 10.5, and I'm going to score that at 14.5, just to create our classic tent fold card. So very straightforward. What you will need to do is make sure you reinforce these folds really well. So there's our base. You're then going to want a piece, I've used crumb cake, and this is 13 by 7.5. And first of all, you're going to score that at 6.5, like so. And then with that section on the top there, we're then going to create our vertical fold. So we're just going to score that at 5 centimetres, like so. And it's as simple as that. That is all the scoring you need to do for that mechanism. So now what we want to do is really reinforce those. And you're going to come in with your snips, and we're going to cut quite a sharp angle off there, because that's going to sit at the back of our card. So we can add our layers onto here. Now what I would recommend is you either use Seal Plus or you use, we did put it that way, didn't we? Yeah. Either use Seal Plus, so lost track, Seal Plus or red tape to, when we come to attach the mechanism, because you want something, oh, okay, I'm going to go vertical obviously on this one. So actually that works quite well. I haven't, I'd forgotten that. I'm going to pop a leaf on there. So let's stick a, so what leaves have I got? I've got a crumb cake leaf here. Okay, so we'll pop a leaf in there. Oh dear. So always check the orientation before you stick items down. Don't do as I say, not do as I do. Right, next thing we're going to do is the front layer. So for the front, we've got a piece of soft suede, and that's 14 by 10. And then I'm just adding a layer of DSP, which is 13.5 by 9.5 to the front of that. As I said, this is from Storybook Gnomes, this particular one, which is lovely, lovely DSP. Let's open that up and just pop that in the centre. So again, the other beauty of opening it up is it makes sure that you've got the orientation correct as well. So now you want a piece of DSP for the inside, 14 by 10, and I'm not layering this up because I don't want that extra bulk on the inside of my card. And then this panel over to the left, all I'm going to do is very quickly just stamp with our little spray in each corner. So I'm going to use my Night of Navy again. That's just tying it in with the colour on here. And that leaves you plenty of space to write a message or stamp a message if you want to. Just kind of add a little bit of interest around the edge there. And again, that can go on the inside. Like so. Okay, so on the front we're going to add our branch and our robin. So I'm going to put the branch on first. And actually I'm just going to pop that right over on the left there. And pop my little robin up. I'm just going to shape that slightly and then pop a couple of dimensionals onto the back there. So I'm putting stuff just away from the edge, which will help retain that shaping. And again, you can pop a sentiment and then punch that out if you wanted to on the right hand side there. And then we come to our mechanism. So let's add I'm going to glue my leaf on flat. Just a solitary leaf there. And what I'm going to use now is some red tape. So I'm going to pop that in, and you want to get it as close to that score line as you can. So I'm coming up to that, but I'm then going to cut that at an angle as well. So, and this is going to go in like so. So you want to fold back these two flaps, and you're going to pop it in at an angle like so. So you can see it all fits within the perimeter. We're going to stick this one down, then we'll take the tape off and we'll close our card up. So first things first, make sure you haven't got any tape sticking over. And just come in like so. We can take our tape off and close down, and then when we open up you have your pop-up like so. So all that remains is to add my couple of leaves onto the front there, and then we're done. So just going to pop a leaf, actually there we go, I think just a couple of leaves there and one more perhaps underneath, just inside. So again, I'm just going to add some adhesive to the back there, slide that behind, same on the front edge, that just goes underneath, and then again so there we go. Two ways of doing it. I probably would have been better, would have been better, I'm not sure. I rather like my little cheeky robin over on the left hand side here in the mountains, but both of them with this fun pop-up element which I'm sure will make lots of people smile. So thank you for watching. Please click the subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber, and then you'll get notified when I post any more videos. And if you'd like to purchase any items and choose me as a demonstrator, I'm always very grateful. So all you need to do is, when you check out at Stampin' Up, just select demonstrator and search for Heidi Smith, and that will find me. Thank you for watching. Come back again soon. Bye now.